Oh, are we back? We're back. That might have been me. That might have been me. Not gonna lie. Dutch, I'll get you a raise. I'll get you a raise. Let's see. You know what? It's gonna be pretty big. I will pay you 100% more than I've been paying you to date. 100%. Generally, these are. I'm trying to group this as a thing. So let's just put a little note here. I'm doubling your salary, Dutch. Doubling. That's right. Doubling. Okay, so basically, they're good for workloads that don't have strong requirements on transactional. And I'm having a hard time grouping this with, like, you know, I came up with one word, transactional. Good for workloads that don't have strong transactional requirements. Now, why do you want this? You're usually more available. More available. Let's see. You're more available. You're usually faster. Whatever you're doing, you're usually faster because you don't have to wait on that guarantee. Usually faster and usually scale easier. These are the reasons you would pick this. How do we group this as a type of application, though? That's the question. What is this type of application? We need to come up with a type of application for this. So this is an AML. So this, I would say, is generally, these are vector. I think you can do, I can't remember to spell it, columnar. I can't even say it, which is probably the reason I can't spell it. As well as graph databases can be used here. Although I don't, I'm gonna have to look up this one. I think it would be bad at it, but I think you could use, I think this is bad, actually. I'm gonna delete that. You could do it. I just don't know why you... I'm gonna put it back till somebody tells me to take it down. All right. Dutch, what is this type of application? What is this type of application? What workloads do you do this? Where eventually consistent is okay, where maybe dirty reads is okay, where it's better. So in general, I think that these are kind of lazy because you take the easy approach when it doesn't hurt you, but it's never better to have eventual consistency. It's just okay. Oh, you know what? This would be one thing we have here is a cache type workload. So I guess to explain it again really quickly. Base is used for e-commerce, really? Not the transactions, not the financial part of it. You can't for the transaction. But are you talking about like their warehouse, how many of an item they have? They use base? I've never done e-commerce, so maybe this is my bad. Seems like you wouldn't want a base database for how many items that you have, right? Frequent price updates. Okay. Interesting. That doesn't that sound a little contradictive? Wait, where is that? Is that not on this page? This is not true either. I disagree with you, Amazon. You can scale these horizontally, they just scale more painfully. They just scale more painfully. I said usually easier to scale. This is a bad way of representing it. So the problem here is with Dutch, what you're saying, I don't know where that is. I'm sure it's in here somewhere, but are better for online analytical processing. It wouldn't be analytical processing. You would have a columnar data for that. Then their example is product prices, which isn't analytical data. So I guess that's what's confusing to me is they're in that sentence they're stating analytical data, which it wouldn't be what you would use it for, and then pricing. Why would they want? Also, how often do you update the price thousands of times a day? That doesn't make sense. I don't know where you got that, Dutch, but that doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to just disagree with. They probably know what they're talking about. I have no idea. I've never done e-commerce. Do they change their prices thousands of times for a single record? Maybe they do. Does e-commerce do that? Do you like just literally change the price all the time? Changing a penny here, penny there? Because one of the things that you have to is it has to be okay for the information to be wrong. Right? Like one of the fundamental things is that you have to be okay with the record being wrong. So I guess that's where, like, for me, if money is involved, you can't use a base. In general, my thought was if money was involved or something like that, you can't use a base database. It's too based. Might be adding a lot of new products. I'll have to think about that. Now, maybe this is what they mean, and I have done these before. I have done these. Let's bust out a I don't know why this defaults to destroying our eyeballs. And maybe this is what they're talking about. You have like a you have something like Postgres here with like the majority of your things. So this might have a table. Let's say it has this table here, which with your items, and it has, you know, item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, 7. And then, so this is all in here. And then you have another database where you actually like put the product page. So like this one has product pages. And by product page, I mean like this holds the whole document of information for item 1. And so like, yeah, this is the product page for 1, and this is the product page for 2. And in this, you could actually put the data. It's not the actual data they'll get charged. That comes from here. But you could update this, and you could update the wording to this. You could update the images to this. You could update everything to this. Why did that get... I don't know why that got... Crowder War, welcome. How are you? So, this is one that I have seen where you'll have these documents. Again, this will be, you know, page 2. And these will get updated frequently, and this will be updated much frequently. Now, this is, you know, we talk about... This is a hard thing to do well, this architecture here, because it requires you to denormalize your data. And denormalize means you got to keep it up to date in different places. And if it's okay for it to be wrong in a spot like this one, so we'll do your base database here, and your and basically, you know, this just goes here. This. You know, these have a UID, a GUID of some sort, to find the page over here. You know, I probably will never remember Shiva. I probably will never remember it. I will try to remember Shiva. It's good to see you, though. Is it Shiva or is it Shiva? Or is it... If it's from a different country, I could be just very, very wrong. If it's from America, I could also just be very, very wrong. So, it might be none of the above. All right. Let me see with this. Okay, so it's Shiva. That's the Indian goddess with like the ice and the arms. No. That's Kali, right? Kali's the one with a bunch of arms. Shiva's the ice one, right? It does have 4 arms. Knew it. I knew they like their multiple arms. Because Kali also has multiple arms, right? Shiva's the ice one. Yep. I got it. Okay. All right. Yeah, I know what they are. Okay, so this is a better example. Okay, I get this. Marketing and customer service companies who deal with sentiment analysis will prefer the elasticity of base when conducting their social network research. Absolutely, this is fine. I think the one from AWS, I would just sit and argue with them. I do like this music. Basically, Base is just a worse database. It's just faster and easier to scale. So I need a good workload type for that. I need a good workload type. Guys, thanks for asking how you can contribute to the Null channel. You know, watching the videos I make, joining the community, helping out in the community. Yeah, all those things are great. So. To the code? Yeah, I mean, all of it's open source. Not all of it's like ready for people to actually contribute to. It's all there. There's like levels of open source availability. Mine's like the base level. When you open source a project, like there's obviously the licensing, but there's like these levels. As far as I see it, I think there's about 5. I kind of made that number up right now, so it might be a little fluid. It might be very fluid, but we're going to go with 5 for right now because that's what I'm thinking it is. You know. Okay, so there's this, which is the license, which mine all fit under this. Okay, then there's like the next level is like documentation. Mine's maybe like a quarter of the way to basics, like to the minimum, because it's really hard to get into a project if you don't have like a roadmap. Because then people don't even know where to drive the project. The next is community engagement. It's great that it's open source, and really all you have to do is have these 2 things. And I think that's like the you know, we'll call these two things here like the basics that you need. And you need both of these before it's really an open source project. The community engagement is like office hours. And maybe my streams could count for that. Like that's an acceptable, like possibly streams. But you need a way for people to ask questions and be involved. And it can't just be like, well, there's the open source project, go have fun with it. You need to have that. So once you have these, you have the licensing, you have the documentation, you have the community engagement. Then really there's like some minimum stuff that you need to do around like, maybe you don't need to do these. I feel like these are maybe more company based. Like if you're trying to do this with a company backing it. So what I was going to say is you need to make people feel like they're being heard. And I don't just mean the office hours here, but I mean like, are you responding to issues that are opened? Community management. So responding to issues, etc. If you opened an issue on one of mine right now and didn't ping me in the Discord, I probably would not know that it got opened. Not gonna lie. Okay, so there's actually only 4. Those were the 4. I can't think of a 5th. I thought 5 off the top of my head. I was probably miscounting. Those are the ones you need. And I have like these, unless you count my streams. And I definitely don't do this. Another issue is I don't want, not all of my repos do I want help with, and I don't mean that meanly. An example would be the NullDB. I actually am designing lessons based off of it. So if you actually go and open up the NullDB, if you go here, I don't actually like this. You can see it's 2 years old because like I do them in these episode branches, and I don't know why I started putting the 0 in front of there, but anyways, I do them in these branches, and we have a new branch that we're doing the next part on. And these are 4 specific videos that I do. So I don't really want people just committing random stuff to it. Now, that being said, if you wanted to go and commit this in a different language than, like, this one's in Rust. If you wanted to do the same thing that we did in the Rust version with another language, I would probably accept it into this, but I don't actually want help with the database one. Now, there are ones that I'm happy. I've taken pull requests on Eddington. Nobody's helped with Twitch alerts, but I'm happy if people want to pick up the Twitch alerts and run with it. If other streamers would like to use it and leverage it, they can feel free to use it. So yeah. All right. Databases. This seems like a better take than AWS's. You have to be okay with reading stale data. You have to be okay with losing data. Why? Because a lot of the times a base database, when it does replicate, a lot of the times there'll be like a leader and a couple replicas. And what can happen is if the leader accepts it, you put some data. If it writes it, and it will be like, okay, I got it. And then it replicates it later. I mean, it usually starts it immediately, but it will replicate these out to here. The problem comes is that, well, one, if you allow reading from a replica, you could read it before you get it. So again, stale data. Another issue that can arise is what if these don't return okay? These don't return okay. And then this dies. You've lost the data. It didn't actually get replicated. You thought it did. You got an okay, and now it's gone. And your replication didn't work. These are edge cases. But when you're dealing with financial, when you're dealing with those types of things, you can't have those types of issues. So that's why I generally say that transactional is better, but base or you know, ACID, when we're talking about transactional, bases are just usually easier to scale, easier to manage, and usually write and read faster. But I was trying to, so Dutch, I'm going to go back to, I was trying to take this not saying what base and because that's what I originally wrote the script for, was like, hey, let's talk about these different types of databases, and then let's talk about what they're good at. You know, what is a graph? What is a vector one good at? What is called? We could do that. I thought a better way of doing this would to be reorient it and say, hey, if this is your type of workload, this are the databases you could look at. I don't know, like, what we could do, like loosey goosey as like the database type. Like if it's man, I'm trying to think of the type of data. I'm trying to generically use 3 words or less to describe a whole characteristic of data. I don't think that's how you spell goose. It's not what we're gonna call it anyways. Not important data. Okay, 3 words or less. Not important data. That will be fine. Is that how you spell goosey? There we go. Nope. Nope. Lousy. Is Lucy not a word? I don't think it is. I don't know how to spell it. I don't think goosey is either. Is it an IE? Here we go. This is how we spell goosey. All right, there we go. That's not right at all. That's what we're leaving it with though for right now. This is going to be graph and object. All right. What's a good example of highly relational data? That's not like, I don't want to pull up your quintessential graph data set here. Like your friend network. This is probably more of a graph database and not a relational database. When you're talking about like highly, I guess there's degrees. Like super high relational, i.e. friend network, graph, medium. Do the object. The thing is, graph databases are cool, but they're full of foot guns. And if you can do it in a relational object way first, it's usually usually better. Lots of foot guns with graph. It's less known. You know what, a good point that I didn't think about until just now when I said transactional. So let's take Aerospike for an example here. Aerospike has transactional acid compliancy, but only on one thing at a time. So, you know, if you're going to update the key Bob to, you know, let's say that's carrying the age to 43. This is acid. So if you did that and you got an okay response back, it happened. But if you wanted to do that and update some other thing in a different table, like days to live to be a lower number, and you want both of these things to happen at the same time. For example, you wanted, you know, whenever you increment the age, you also have to decrement the days to live, or whatever. I'm just coming up with a scenario off the top of my head. It doesn't do this. Whereas something like Postgres, you can wrap that in one transaction and get the whole thing is either acid or rolled back. So, you know, you start a transaction, and if it doesn't all complete, it will roll back. Whereas this has individual record acid compliance, but not transactional acid compliance. I don't know if that made sense to any of you. You know what, it would be a better one? A better one? Here's a better one. Let's say we were talking about how much money we had, and I transferred $200 of mine. So we started with Merrick had, let's say I had $400, and Dutch had $500, and I paid Dutch $200. The transaction would be subtracting 200 from Merrick and subtracting or adding 200 to Dutch. This would be the transaction. And if this worked but this failed in Postgres, you could roll it back. In a database like Aerospike, if this worked and then this failed, it would be up to your application to maintain that consistency, that you'd roll back the other groups in that transaction. But any one transaction is acid. I don't know, again, if that makes sense. I'll assume that it does. I still don't like this. Now, I don't know how to do things like time series without just saying time series. Time series is and events. No squirrel? That's what this is generally. The loosey goosey work is no squirrel. I'm not sure what you're saying, Dutch. The workload is the style of database on this one. It's a time series database. It's optimized for querying time series. Technically, everything that is not an RDMBMS is a NoSQL, right? So graph would be NoSQL. Like I'm trying to be less prescriptive and more helpful, but maybe I need to be more prescriptive. Because like, what would you consider Kafka or Nats.io? You could say distributed ledger. You could say you could call it a NoSQL database. It's a persistent, event-driven ledger. And not even event-driven, just a persistent ledger that enables systems. So if you're trying to build an event system, you want something like this. So if you want to react to events, you're going to want a database that allows you to do that. Let's see. There's only two databases I can think of that can act as an efficient cache. There are like caching, like Memcached and stuff, but like if you're talking about databases that can act fast enough, you have Aerospike and Redis. So these are the only ones that I know of that can sit here, I think. I'm sure there's others. Oh, etcd is another good one. We'll put that at the top since it's the most open source. It's another good cache one. I'm sure that there's another. I will Google. That's what I did here. I will Google and get them. Some more caches. I mean, there is Memcached. I don't know that people use Memcached much anymore. Console? What is this setup? This is just Obsidian Notes. You can go download it for free. And you can, it's just markdown files on your computer. You can have like a local vault and take notes. That's what we're doing. I don't have these synced to a Git repo. I will, probably. So I need to make a different vault. This one has all my videos, and I'm not going to like let you guys see all the videos I'm working on, although you do see some of them. But there's also notes that I take that you guys do want to have access to, and should be in a Git repo. It's like Notion. Yeah, I don't know that it's better than Notion. It's more, it's like Vim versus using an IDE. Vim lets you just build whatever you want as an IDE, and then some IDE is going to kind of make you do some things, but is maybe more functional out of the box. Like, one thing I love is that I get Excel-a-Draw inside of here, which I usually use, but now I'm getting to keep these drawings around. As we had the conversation on a topic, I get to just keep these drawings now forever. And so that's pretty awesome as far as a thing goes. You know, I think if you like Notion, fine, go for it. Yeah, I like Obsidian. I think it's cool that I will be able to post it in a GitHub. I'll probably make a different vault for the stuff we do live on stream. That will go to that GitHub instead of this one. But yeah, Notion is so slow. My goodness, they need to learn about optimistic rendering. Like, that's all they need to do. Get some Redux in there, get some optimistic rendering in there, because oh my goodness, it is so slow. Who cares about their AI? Like, it's the worst gimmick. They probably wasted so many engineers' hours on the AI. Nobody used your thing to write AI in it. I'd use ChatGPT 4 if I wanted to. And if I wanted to generate some content. Make your website not painfully slow. It's unusable slow. It's just, I say that. One second. Let me make sure I don't have to log in. Oh, I do have to log in. 1 second. Oh, I use the website. And oh my goodness. I used to use the website. I don't use it anymore. I switched everything to Obsidian. The render on this. So I used to keep all my notes for the news, but the like time that it takes to do stuff, and like it's not caching any of it because I'm just going back and forth. I don't know. It's actually performing better now than it used to. Maybe they've made improvements. This is actually less bad. And they have some, it's better on the second load. Maybe it's better. Huh. Maybe it's better. It was bad there for a while. But this is par for the course. I rage that it's horrible and then it will work for me. That's the general, my general curse. All right, I need another workload type. What are some workload types that you guys have done? Oh, you know what? You know what a good one here that people don't think about? I'm gonna call it large files storage. A lot of times we'll call this like blob storage or something. aka blob. You know, your S3s of the world. Not big data. I'm talking about large files, like actually just large files. I'm not talking about a lot of data. I mean, obviously it has a lot of data, but I'm talking about like pictures. I'm talking about video. I'm talking about Artifactory. No, Artifactory is not going to be part of this. I'm sorry, no. That is too long of a video. As much as I love Artifactory. Do I love Artifactory or do I hate it? I want to say that it's probably that love-hate, you know. I've heard that, prisoners start to love their captors. That's probably... Nothing does what Artifactory does. Nothing out there. You can look at Nexus, you can look at whatever it is. I guarantee you there's features, there's package management. So, you can look at Azure DevOps, you can look at any one of those, and they don't have half the features that Artifactory does. It's if you want to talk about a slow system, though, if you want to talk about slow, it makes Notion look like a snappy young man. Like, Artifactory is the slowest piece of garbage I have ever used. I know I called it a piece of garbage because I'm angry. I'm just angry in general tonight. But it also has all the features that you could ever want. Absolutely every single feature. I don't think I would make very good courses. I made some courses on YouTube, and I don't think I do a very good job, to be honest. I need to rethink how I do them. Big data. We have big data, which I called analytics. That's what I was covering under analytics for your big data. Artifactory. I don't have a spot for Artifactory. Here we have a trash bin somewhere. Another workload. What workload? Come on. Let's see. We have large file storage, highly relational. Time. I don't know if many people get into this, but we can do time sensitive. And basically, let's retrieval time sensitive. I don't know if this is common enough and if I'm just getting into the weeds. So there's like two huge cases in this. Three huge use cases. And everybody loves the third. Everybody loves the... So, retrieval time sensitive data. And again, this is like, I think that this is an edge case, so I don't think I'll put this in the video. So you're talking about credit card processing. When you use your credit card, you need to be able to detect fraud quickly. They don't sit there 5 minutes waiting to pay for something. They want to pay for it when they use their card. So you have very little amount of time to detect fraud. Threat detection is the same basis as fraud prevention. But when you're detecting threats inside the system, you're usually operating on data that is real-time sensitive. And then ads. Actually, ads is a huge one with retrieval time sensitive, because basically a lot of ad networks will serve whoever was first. If you have an ad now, I'm not going to wait to see if this other place has an ad or not. And so it can actually cost you money not to retrieve your ad that you have to sell. And so this is a huge deal. Well, is it a database thing or an API thing? I would argue yes, right? Where does your API store that information? I mean, unless you just store it all in memory on one server. Generally with ads, we're talking about petabytes of data. These can be also in the petabytes of data, the ones that I've seen. SharePoint sharding. I have never done that, but I can imagine as a Microsoft product. We'll do logs as well. Okay. Logs, event systems, time series, highly relational, large file storage, loosey-goosey workloads, cache, AI/ML, analytics, transactional. Am I missing one? Type of workload. I'll wait for you guys. Logs are not the same as time series. That's right, Dutch. You've learned. So this is kind of what I want to go into the video about, so like people understand a little bit, because like a lot of times the time series databases, it's how they actually store data on disk that allows them to query chunks of time, which is pretty cool, and is also why they have the limitation of why they're only good at one thing. You know, maybe vector is the only one that isn't conformed that way. It's more about the type of index that you use. Although I'm not sure that's entirely true. I say more of. More of. Any other database types? I can't actually think of a different workload. This will be good for the video. I think this will cover the majority of people's. You know, my recommendation is that you use Postgres unless if you have a reason not to. Use Postgres until you can argue a reason not to. It does everything kind of poorly, but it does everything. It literally does everything. It does JSON documents. It can. Maybe not the best, but it can. And probably better than you need. Did you know that Postgres can do column? It has columnar tables. Did you know that? I want to say C table. It can. It can. Whether I can find the documentation for it, it can. Let's see. It's a different type of table though. Oh, Postgres is way better than MySQL. I believe it's in type name. What are valid types though? I don't know how to spell columnar. Columnar. Oh, it's FC tables. Dang it. That's what it was. I'm sorry. My goodness. All right, FC tables. I was close. I don't do that all the time. Generally, yeah, I say start with Postgres. And just use it. Like, don't worry. And probably most people, if they use Postgres correctly, wouldn't need a different database. Like, actually leveraged it how it wants to be leveraged. If they understood the data that they were storing. I think a lot of the times we get a little lazy. And, like, that's partially okay. When, like, you just want to store a bunch of these product pages. You could probably do it in Postgres. This is just easier, and the easier route is okay, but a lot of the times this has a cost. Like, this easy route has a cost. So, like, you've now denormalized your data. Are you ready to pay that cost? There is a cost, and you have to manage that cost. So it's just making sure that you understand that. So does it actually build? Does this actually build? No, I didn't think it would. Saturday, for Saturday's stream, I think what we're going to do is we're going to design a CDN, content delivery network. I think we're going to do this one for Saturday. Unless there's something else you guys would like to do. We're also going to work on auth stuff. I hate auth, but I have been researching it, so we can do it. I think. I have a plan. Whether that plan will fall apart, the plan might fall apart. I thought about doing it before the stream. But I was like, where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in that? It does involve Go. Eddington is written in Go, so actually, no, Dutch. The plan is doomed to fail. Do you know why? I don't know if you were here for let's see, the Null Cloud. Oh, we're actually going to do this year. The global lock service. Oh yeah, we're so doing that. But oh no, where was our system design? We did a thing on Eddington, like did I just draw it in here? Where did I draw that? Well, I completely lost that. But it's doomed to fail. It's doomed to fail. Absolutely doomed to fail. And I'll show you why. I'll show you why. Again, because obviously I just did this thing where we could keep... I thought I did it in the Null Cloud. But these are like just videos. These are just videos about the Null Cloud. Oh, here's the architecture. Okay, I found it. Okay, so this is why. The API is in Go. This stuff back here is in Go. This stuff is in Go. We're going to terminate auth in Istio. This is why it's going to fail. This is why it's going to fail. We're going to get Ori to send a JWT. Istio can parse a JWT. We're going to parse the JWT and send the auth headers in, or the user ID in the headers to the app. And then we're going to remove authentication from the backend apps altogether. We'll just have a middleware that we don't even need a middleware because it's already just in the headers of the requests. But Istio is the reason it's going to fail. Go won't be the problem this time. Go is never the problem, always the solution. Oh. One word for you. IOTA. That's it. It's my one word for you. IOTA. IOTA. The fact that exists in the language, I feel like is enough said. You know, it's too powerful and Go. Too powerful. Too powerful. Oh, you are not wrong. Oh. Let's see. Why is that what it wants? Let's see. It should be a hash map with a string. No. That's the log is a hash map of string, right? Yeah. So why is it wanting to? Oh, we're sending. I'm sorry. I'm just getting back into this. I need to clean it up for a video. So sorry, we're going to have to clean this up. We got to make a draft video. What was this? Is this actually the append entries request? Oh, it is a vector. We made this a string. Okay, we'll just have to append it, right? What was this originally? It was just a string. Okay. So all we really need here is this. Okay. I was listening to ChatGPT and it was just wrong. It was just wrong. There we go. There. It just needed a little bit of help. It just needed a little bit of help. I have tried to clean this code up, and I feel like every single time I clean it up, I make it messier. So we're getting a message as the leader And the message is new entry. I don't really need this leader ID because our clients don't redirect at this point. But we should probably do it. We should probably do it. So why I don't like this ID is because we don't have it here. And it doesn't really belong in the state, which means we got to pass it in. Is it a string? I'm gonna guess it's a string. We're gonna go with that for the time being. It's an I-32. I guess wrong. Oh, it's client ID. We don't need this either. So Dutch, your current theory is that Go was just too powerful? Go was just too powerful? Had to be nerfed? Had to be stopped? Is that the current... That's why they made all the bad decisions in Go? Oh gosh. This is cursed. I hate it. So we have the state, we have the clients. We're in the state right now. We have the log and we have the config. Wait. The config has the roster and the candidate ID. Okay, so I was bad here. What we should do here is instead of this, you should just pass the config in here. candidate ID. This isn't defined as whether it should be a integer or a string. The ID, we are IDing it right now. The ID is basically the IP address it's using. Not the best. But I actually think this should be a string. Because it could be like a DNS name, right? I think so. Yeah, this needs rewritten. Actually, just this part right here. We were just doing a dumb log, but now we actually have a get. No, just. Okay, that's gonna get you the value for it. Looks good. This is getting out of control. Now, the thing is, this log should go to the database. It should actually be the database handling this log, this replicated state. Because it's not, we're just kind of hacking it together, but you know, now I want to do this. So what I'm saying, like, this got kind of out of control. I don't know why this particular thing has the it's such an easy system to implement in a singular file, but very much more difficult to make in a very sane method. At least I found it's much more involved. Okay, raft log. And then this is a raft log here. Wait, okay. I thought that would work. I thought I could do CI here and then shift $sign to go to the end. To delete everything and start replacing. But it seems like I can't. I should be able to do that. It's a skill issue. It's a skill issue. We're just going to make these public. I don't know that I appreciate this, but this was pretty good. This was pretty good. I don't know that we need a last, but that's fine. We have a push. So this would be push. And then this function would be, where's the log? Here we go. Log would be a raft log. I hate this. Can I just make this I don't know if I can do this. We'll see. It's one in a tuple. There we go. We can. That's gross, but it works. We need to get. Done. Got to get. So And then this here should be log index is incremented by 1. Oh no, no. We need it to be a mutable log. Right. Yeah. Done. Everything is borrowed as mutable. Done. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Not feeling what I've done here. So when we got the initial code done, I was like, sure, it's in this big, long function, and it's horrible and terrible, but it worked, and it was cool. I don't feel like I've made this more readable as I've gone on. I just get the feeling that I've made it grosser. I've taken what we did. I don't know. You know what? That's not funny. This is way simpler than a 3D engine, unfortunately. And the fact that you can't understand anything about it probably goes more to what I've done here. It's not pretty. So we made the consensus algorithm raft for 3, 5, 7, 9 nodes to reach consensus on a topic. But we did it in just a few days, and it was a lot of like one really big long functions that handled different states because the server can run in different states. And so now we got that working, but we were like, man, is that ugly? And I can't make a YouTube video on how ugly that is because it was that ugly. And I was just talking about how I'm not sure I've made it prettier. I'm not sure I've cleaned it up at this point. It has some weird state management that it deals with. And that's what we're dealing with right now. That's what we're dealing with. And by we, I mean me. And my life sucks. Oh, that was wrong. It is candidate state. What is it upset about? Wait, expected an option of state. Oh. I'm not wait a second. Does this need to be option state? Yes, yes, it does. It's some. I was just typing stuff, you know? This message takes 4 arguments, but 2 were supplied. Actually, this follow or run doesn't... this just needs deleted, right? Because this was to run when it was in the follow state. Actually, this still does need to, because we just call self.onMessage. So yes, it does. Okay, so here we've got to pass all the things to it. What were they? They were the message itself, the event, then the config, then the clients. All right. Config, self.config, self.clients, and then the log. Wait. Arguments are incorrect. Oh, wait. We don't have a call to self. Or we have self log here, which is wrong place, wrong time. Log is at the end. Wait. This is a mutable self. Okay, yeah. We did have to make all of these mutable, which is fine. Oh no. Oh yeah, we don't. This doesn't need to be. Why did I make this mutable? I saw red squiggly and I thought. Oh, let's just implement copy. That's easy enough. All right. Well, we have clone, so. That would be good enough. Actually, can we just do... And we should avoid lifetime with this, right? We can just go ahead and just pass a ref here. That should be fine. Yeah. Okay. Because that should have automatic lifetimes. That's good. That's good. Okay, clean that up. We're down to 15 errors. That's a feels good. All right. I wish I could tell it to not do these. Purples. Don't like purple errors. Okay. This is our run loop, which is now quite different. This is the initial. Okay, so this is all wrong. Okay, and so this is where this was our loop. Basically, we would check our state and we would do whatever our state said to do. And now we're just going to call run on our state, right? So we're going to do this. We're going to just delete all that. Oh, we're going to see what ChatGPT says. Nope, it's wrong. ChatGPT gets too caught up in what I said to do last. Let next state equal self dot state dot run. Dot await. Right? That's what we do. Does this not have a run? Oh no, it has an on message. Which is what we would do on the on follow. Where was the function? It was follow or run. Okay, follow or run. So basically we just yank this out. Go back here. Drop this in. Delete that line. Delete this. Delete that. Make this more readable. No. No. Indentation is messed up. Why? This looks right. Is this just the wrong indentation here? But then what does this go to? What is that? Oh, okay. I got it. This goes to the function. This goes to loop, but then I mean, this all of this should be indented one more, right? Something's off. 1 second, let me go up here. So we have this function. These are all indented this way. Yeah. Okay. This just needs one more indentation this way. But that has to be wrong because this. Oh no, that's the end of the RAF node. Okay. I got entirely... I don't think that is, though. Yeah, it wasn't. Tokyo time sleep is perfectly fine and stable. 1 second, I gotta unpaste what I pasted. Because I caused myself an issue. Oh no. I need to go copy what I... 1 second. I woefully hurt my brain on that one. All right, we're here. We're gonna delete that loop. Trying not to break too much. Okay, so sweet. Yes, this shouldn't run. We'll delete this. Sleeping for 50 milliseconds. It's fine. It's probably fine. All right. Now this is all stuff that we don't need to do. What we need to do is we need to check for a message from other nodes. We don't need this sleep anymore. We don't need it. It was fine, but we don't need it. And now all we need is this right here. What we actually need is let state equal, and then this is going to return none. And then this needs its variables updated, which is fine. And then we can do next state, right? That's a function. Self dot next state. Yeah, like that. No method. Next state. Is that? That is a function. We have it. State next. Is it just? We'll find it later. We'll find it later. I promise it's there. It might not be on self. It might just be next state. We'll find it in a second. All right. So we have the event. Let's see. The event, the config, clients, log. Event, config, config, clients, log. Okay, that looks right. Wait. We want an option state. No, that's what we don't want return word here. We just want this. Like a pro. Rusting like the pro. Azure Van Dev, thank you for the follow. You know what? You know what we really need to fix? I need to stop being lazy and fix our Twitch alerts. I need to do that. I need to do that so badly. Sorry about that. We made our own Twitch alerts and it runs on my home lab, and I broke my home lab. Well, actually Intel broke my home lab, and I have gotten the parts to do it. Hopefully this weekend I will fix Intel's mistake. You get an AI generated message, by the way. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Way over engineered, but absolutely fantastic. Better engineered than this garbage. Better engineered than this. Let's see. New. That's our log. Let's see. Let's see. We have run. Leader run. Candidate run. These are what we're getting rid of. Follower run. It is. Oh, it's change state, not next state. What we're going to do is, instead of change state, we're going to change this to next state. Because now it's an option. It's option of state. And so we only change state if there is some. Otherwise, this should do nothing. That's the idea behind it. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. You know, when we're done with all of this, what, 300 lines can get deleted. It might be cleaner. It actually might. All of this might be cleaner. And did I just type in svelte instead of self? My goodness, I'm thinking about the front end work that needs to be done. I'm thinking about it. All right. So yeah, now all of it used to be that we would go through and we would call whether we do the leader run or we did the candidate run, or we did the follower run. And all of these contained all the logic that was independent to each one of those. But now all the logic that's independent to each one of those is contained on the state. We call that on that. So you know what? Let's now delete all of these. Oh, we're scrolling line by line. Candidate. Oh, this is so much code that's getting deleted. It's not really getting deleted because all this logic still does exist. They just were broken into their own files. That's beautiful. We're to fewer lines than we deleted. We deleted more lines of code than this file has now. Awesome. All right. And no errors. Only 3 warnings. I count that as a win. The warnings are imports. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I haven't figured out. It didn't work. I thought that with Go, I got format to run on save. And I tried the same thing with Rust and it didn't work. Oh, look at this. I called it. You guys doubted. All right. Oh no, I broke some. Oh no. You're more interested in Go? Well, Go will be this Saturday. Well. There'll be Go this Saturday. There will be Go this Saturday. How much? How much is it an authentication nightmare? It might just be an authentication nightmare. But we're working with authentication. The service that is getting authentication is in Go. But we're trying to terminate the authentication before it gets to Go. We'll see how that works. We'll see how it works. It might just be terrible. To me, it's not about the language. I look for a language that's going to get out of my way and let me do what I want to do that's reasonably maintainable. Go is a double-edged sword. Go literally just gets the crap out of your way and lets you start writing code, and it does a reasonable job of trying to make sure that what you wrote runs. The problem that I end up having with large Go code bases is that they become less assured than their Rust counterparts. So with Rust, I'm making this large refactor right now. If I got this thing to compile, I would be reasonably sure that it wasn't going to crash. Business logic, sure. I could have screwed up some business logic. But with a large Go project, if I did this same thing, I wouldn't feel comfortable saying that it probably wouldn't crash. I would have at least one nil pointer and several other issues by the end of this refactor. Let alone managing a state machine like this in Go. I know how I would do it. It would not be great. It would not be great. So there's definitely places where Go, I like Go for microservices because it's fast and easy. It just kind of gets out of your way and it does a reasonably good job of running. But trust me, if you go back and watch streams of me doing Go, you'll have seen me also fight with Go. If you can get a refactor to compile and Go using a makefile, you can be really comfortable that it runs. Yes, if you do a Go build, it is just It could be anything. If you have a make file that does some reasonable linting and reasonable testing and reasonable stuff, you can get it fairly good. Again, this is my problem is, yeah, if you add a bunch of other stuff, you can do the same thing with C++. There's things to check for memory leaks and things like that. And you can get something that reasonably checks whether it's reasonable or not. But then you haven't really bought yourself much, because that's all Rust is doing. If you're going to complain that it's like, oh, it makes me want to return some type. Well, yes, that's all it's checking, though. Yeah, dude, Go programs suffer from nil pointer exceptions. Yes. Honestly, they did a decent job of all my two biggest problems. They're nil pointer issues. They're pointers. Did I say two problems? I did say two problems, but they're nil pointers, or they're pointers. They're implementation of pointer versus not pointer and trying to hide it from you. So then I hate in Go, where depending on whether it's a pointer receiver or a value receiver is whether the method copies the whole structure or not. I think that's really confusing, and I've seen many people screw that up many a times, and I think it's and they're like, you don't even know whether you have a pointer or not. So then, like, you don't call things with, like, a pointer syntax or something. You just call it, and it knows whether it's a pointer or not. I'm not a fan of that part. I think it's a foot gun and a half. And then they're enums. They don't have a basic algebraic data type. Union data type. I'll keep it simple. They don't have a union data type. All right. This won't run though. This, yeah, okay. But we're down. 2 errors. Not bad. New entry has key value sender. Okay, key value sender. Yeah, I don't know. I do like, I want to like Go, I think, more than I do. I think it would have actually... So Rust in their 2018 came out with a lot of really big improvements where you didn't have to lifetime everything. If that hadn't come out, I think the lifetimes in Rust were too ordinary, and I would have been much more of a... At this point, you can almost forget about lifetimes, except in the edge cases. Or as an optimizations to not copy. Where was our other error? In main? Uh-oh. Look at these. Key value sender. All right. Expect value found, struct variant. Let me hire you for my text video web app. I don't even know what that is. I don't know what a text video web app is. What is a text? Please describe that to me. You probably don't want to hire me anyways. Oh, text to video. I was like, I thought you were making like video out of text. I thought it's not a lot more. Enter a prompt. Oh, you're doing some ML stuff. That goes well above my head. Not a value. My experience is that it's too late at night for me to get a not a value. I don't understand this. I don't understand. Oh. I get it. I'm getting it now. This is not a, my goodness. Okay. I don't use the unnamed structs like that very much. Maybe it would have been better as a tuple. Do I understand databases? Do I understand? I've been told that I understand databases. Will this build? Will this build? No. No, it won't. But you know what? That means we solved all the other problems. Get to the real problems. Now we're, used after free. Nice C++ there. Is that it? Is that it? My goodness, there's a lot of warnings. Oh. Sorry, that was a little sarcastic. It's late at night for me. I apologize. I'm like 10 minutes to the end of stream for me. It was slightly sarcastic because we literally just talked about making a video to help people understand what databases to use when. So we were just talking about this earlier in the stream. What databases when. So yeah, it was sarcastic, but I didn't mean it sarcastically at you specifically. The accumulation of events. I also do a YouTube series. It only has 5 videos, but I do a YouTube playlist called How to Build a Database, or Build a Database. And this series of videos is all about how to build a database from the ground up. Like the technologies used, what it is an index. We actually implement the things, all of them. So I do a little bit with databases. I understand them, yes. My day job is also working for a database company. So I have experience. Oh wait, we had this. in the follower code. And the code we're looking at right now is actually a distributed ledger. So not let me put it this way, J Miles. I'm flattered. But any project actually worth my time wouldn't just offer me equity or money because they watched one of my streams. Actually, the more of my streams you watch, probably the less likely you would be to offer me anything. Oh, wait. What was I doing? I just did something while talking. I can't do that. Okay, we gotta use after. Yeah, I got it. So, yeah. That's a Dirk. Dirk, you're so rude. You're so rude to me, Dirk. That hurts. But it's true. It might be mean, it might be painful, but it's also probably absolutely true. If you're desperate for somebody to stand up a database, databases aren't that hard. You can learn them. It's not worth giving up your equity just because you need a database. And especially if you know nothing about me. Sure, I make a video on databases and we've talked about them. But if you're actually going to look for somebody to be that you're going to work with, I would say that I get inundated with many requests, but not many people want to work with me. Not many. Let's see. We have a free after use. Okay, so we used it. Use after free, effectively. Let's see. We send a reply here. Oh, we should be done here. Okay, so this is exactly why I like Rust over Go. This right here. Dutch, it's not because I like... Look, this caught a bug. This is a legitimate bug that Go wouldn't have caught. The fact is, once we vote, we should be done voting. And if this had been Go, it would have run this and then just run this. You guys know that in my day job, I use Go. Just so we're clear. I know Go better than I do Rust, by far. By far. Well, the database is in C, but I don't do too much on the core database. And by too much, I hack around a little on it. But our services are in Go. Well, and I am I program in this thing called Confluence. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a new language coming out. It's all the rage. Confluence developer. Yeah, I don't pay attention while streaming mostly. You're right. I mean, in theory, you're 100% right. And actually, this is right too. You're 100% right, Dutch. I should have known to return here. Absolutely. But if we're all perfect programmers, then we'd all just program in C. I mean, to be fair. Probably don't need much more than assembly, honestly. Okay, maybe C. Maybe C. I'd love to see assembly linting. Oh. We need to do an assembly stream. It's been a while since I've worked in assembly. J Miles, I hope you didn't take what I said to be rude. I wasn't trying to be rude. Just trying to help you think about it. Done. All right, so we have gotten this to be a little closer to not horrible. It's still not perfect, so Dirk, don't puke. I know it will be a gut reaction. Just take a deep breath before I go into this file. All right, so this is now our on message. We have to have the Raft event. We have to have the config because the config carries the roster and the ID. We have to have the clients because we got to send the clients, and we actually have to have the mutable because to send on the channel is a mutable call to them. So we have to have a mutable reference to them, and we have to have a mutable reference to the log. Now this will be swapped out with the null-db whenever we integrate it with the log portion. Will be a interface to communicate with the database. For right now, it's just this simple log. A reader monad. I don't actually disagree with you. You know what? If I knew what a monad was, I probably wouldn't disagree with you. But yes, we could actually make this a little simpler to read. Honestly, we can just up here, we can take this and let's I don't know. So I go back and forth on this. I think Dutch is probably going to agree with the one way, and Dirk, you're going to agree with the other way, which I love. We could make this its own type. You know, let's see, what is this? Raft clients. And then we could delete all this. I have internal arguments about this. I have internal arguments about this because it can sometimes be obfuscating. This is really just a hash map. And if it's used prolifically throughout this to represent the clients, which I mean, we should take this instead of just doing it there. We should go all the way up here and put it up here. And then, you know, here, instead of this garbage, we should just do, you know, this. And we should carry it around all the other places. But now, if you're not in this file, not here, let's go back to where we were. Here, okay. And on here, we here, we use Raft clients instead of this, which we should. I wish there was a Vim motion to delete all of that. I know that there is. Now my point is, now this is obfuscated. It looks like it's a struct, but it's really just a hash map. And I know that editors are really good about this. Like even here in Vim, I can see what type it is like this with space H. So I guess maybe the argument is that with modern editors, this isn't a problem. I think when I wrote Java initially, I saw too much, oh, we'll make an interface for that. And it's like, there's only one concrete implementation. Why would, like, where it just makes the code harder to read because everything's abstracted away into something. And I feel like this pulls at that same itch where it's like, oh, I'm just abstracting things away. I mean, this is effectively just a type alias for a very specific hash map, right? And like I said, maybe I'm more knee-jerking because of the the Java that I've seen. Maybe I've shifted a little too far the other direction where it's like, oh no, I'm not gonna obfuscate that. Oh, you are correct that hash map might not be the right choice. Which then makes the refactor really easy because you can just change it here. It is. It's also slightly different. The abstraction's slightly different as well. Like, right. You'd have your, in Java, the quintessential Java masterpiece here is like you have a file that defines an interface, then you have a file that has an implementation, if you have a function then that uses that interface and there's only one implementation, you have to find like all the implementations of that interface, and then you're like, oh, there's only one. So anytime this interface is called, I actually know what I'm passing around. And chef's kiss. Oh. Yeah, so maybe this is more of a knee-jerk reaction. I just generally avoid this type of stuff, but maybe I need to just get a little bit more comfortable doing that. That might be very valid. You like Go less than Java? Really, Dirk? Really? You like Go less than Java? Interesting. Dutch and Dirk, I was gonna make you guys admins, but now I can't. That's a Ads. All right, so another thing Rust just saved me from. In all of this refactor, I had never constructed the candidate state. And so this is actually pretty cool. Rust is just saving me. So what I actually realized is like we don't actually translate because we don't have the on, like I'm calling it tick here. I don't know. Yeah, tick. I'm calling on tick here where like every cycle it ticks. So yeah. Also Dirk, I don't know. What are your pots? What are your pots on this? I went back to the enum. Because I like the enum better than the box dynamic. It felt more gross to me to go through all the box dynamic, and like the enum as a state felt like it flowed for what it was doing. I know this is a little grosser here, like these matches here on the states. So it's not without its grossity or gromosity. Anyways. I just liked how we could pass it around better. Was my I was gonna say that's what got me was like, yeah, it felt like a lot of fluff, and this seemed cleaner. Like, I don't know, I'm not gonna sit here and argue that it runs better or anything. To me, it felt like it read easier. Like if you're trying to understand what was happening and when was happening and whatnot, it felt nicer. So I know that we had talked about where we could do it both ways, and you actually brought up, you made me think about union structs in a completely different method, because like I had not thought of them as, you know, the quintessential classic like open interfaces. Like you made me think about them differently, and I really like that. I still have to think on them a little bit. Like I said. Let's see. So on this, we need to send a heartbeat. We actually need to like keep a timer. Let's see. When is our timeout? Let's see. It's 5 seconds is our timeout. That's a, we'll do 1 second as a timeout, and then we'll say we need to send a heartbeat message if it's been over 100 milliseconds. That's what etcd defaults to. I didn't just pull that out of my butt. I kind of did, but you know, it came from something. I even was turning it in here, and I just forgot to do it at all. All right, let's see. You know what I want to see? I want to see if ChatGPT can actually... It should be able to generate this. Yeah. Not perfect. If last heartbeat is let's see. Let's see. Is it from milliseconds? Yeah, if it's greater than 100 milliseconds. Okay, this is just getting it from mine. No. We want to actually send a heartbeat. It completely failed. This is literally just the follower state. It just took the follower state. We're not gonna print. Oh, dear goodness. We need the clients and the config. Because we gotta send an append entry. Oh, you leader state, you hurt my heart. You hurt it. All I wanted to do. All I wanted to do. All right. All right, let's see. All right. Let's see. We need to import this. Duration. Need to be capitalized. All right. Sending heartbeat. We're getting the instant. We're creating this thing. We're for each client. We're going to. Term is our current term. Our candidate ID. Our log index. Our term. Yep. Send an entry. You send an empty entry to heartbeat. You know what we really need? Oh, there's no one shot for this. I was gonna say we need like a one shot, but we don't actually need a one shot because nothing generated this event. We're going to just prefix this right now. You know what? Never really actually done this. I don't think we even want to do a follower state, actually. I think we just want to go back to... We stay the leader. We assume that we're the leader until there's a leader that gets voted with a longer term than us. So if we're segregated, they'll become a leader and they'll have a higher term than us. If the client was segregated from me and the rest of it, we continue to operate normally, so we don't change anything here. This is a weird. I don't know what I wrote there. I mean, ChatGPT did it. But I've never used this either. Oh, I see what it's doing. It's getting the... This is actually the... Okay. We're calling unwrap here. I thought we were getting like an error, but we're not actually getting the request. I see. I see, because we're just hard unwrapping it. Perfect, perfect. It's called failed fast. This unwrap is the quintessential fail fast of the world. Don't use unwrap in production code. It's great for prototyping, I think. All right, so what we need here is these things. All right, Dirk, since I have your ear, I'd like to ask you a question. Making a video on databases, types of databases. And what I was going to do, what I started out by doing was taking like the basic, 7 types of databases that I think of. And I was going to like break down what type of database would be good for that type of that thing. But then I thought, I kind of scrapped this. This is why I don't get videos out very quickly. I kind of scrapped this because then I was like, wouldn't it be better to talk about types of data and what database works well for them? Like invert it a little. Don't talk about the, oh, okay, Postgres is good at this and, whatever. But talk about like, oh, if you're wanting to do AI, ML, vector, columnar, I'm putting graph in there. Although I put asterisks. I'm going to have to, if you're wanting a cache, if you're wanting a loosey-goosey workloads, then, use MongoDB. If you're wanting large file storage, highly relational data, where you have graph or object relational, times it like. But what I was saying all this was I'm trying to think of common data types to talk about. So, and this was super edge case. I'm not putting this in the movie. The movie. That's how I think about them. Cuts. These are like, yeah. Anyways. So I'm just asking people to think of like a use case, because some of these, I know cache is a use case, AI ML is a use case, analytics is a use case. I have transactional here. I feel like transactional and loosey-goosey workloads are kind of bad categories. So I'm trying to boil them down into better data categories. So if you think of some, yeah. Let me know, because I've been thinking about it. And then we'll talk about the types, and then we'll talk about like what data, some of the databases. I was just getting some of the ones for analytics, so people had an idea of, Apache has like 12 analytic-based databases. Oh my goodness. I just picked my favorite. Columnar database, but in-memory databases, what do you call a cache and what is a database? So okay, embedded application. I like that. Actually. That's a fantastic one. Putting that in here. I'm gonna put it above some of these. No, embedded is a fantastic one. I don't commonly do embedded stuff, except when I'm playing around, but we can talk about what is it? MySQL. You have DuckDB, I believe, is an embedded one. an in-process OLAP. Columnar. I can't even say the stupid word. Okay. This is good though. I probably will reach out to you, Dirk, just to validate. Again, I don't do these specifically a ton. I know there's some other open source ones. I can find the databases, but my notes on like why you would use it. I guess these are pretty easy. They're embedded. They're embedded databases. Maybe it's easy enough. Never mind. I just don't. I use MySQL sometimes. So this is another one that I had a hard time with. I called it the loosey-goosey workloads. And this is kind of your base database models, like the ones that aren't ACID. But I don't. This isn't really a good classification of the workload. Like, it's not a great classification, so I need to work on it. So, yes. I mean, in theory, no. Let's say, see, I actually don't like these. I actually don't like eventually consistent databases. So like I'll sit here and say that I know that Aerospike can run as eventually consistent or strongly consistent. And like there's a huge trade-off. If you go strongly consistent, it's slower. If you want to reach, 20 petabytes of data and have sub-millisecond reads, well, you have to be in eventually consistent mode. Like that's just a fact. But I really hate eventually consistent mode. I really do. And I know that people use it, but like your data can be wrong, your data can be lost, your data, like, I'm not a fan of it. Just because like, what data do you have that you're willing to play loosey-goosey with, I guess is my question. Yeah, Cassandra, Scala, those have eventual consistency modes. And, a lot of the times these are things like, yeah, sometimes there's like a strongly consistent, I can't type, strongly consistent data store over here. And then like you denormalize from that, out of that, into a bunch of different eventually consistent things. And basically your worst thing is that you get some dirty reads or some things like that. But I don't recommend people start with this as a database. I guess for me, the only reason you go to these loosey-gooseys is because you hit a hard limit. And you're going to have to start like denormalizing and dealing with all of that where your data is actually in multiple places to alleviate the core database that's actually strongly consistent. That's generally when I see those types of things being acceptable, but I think it's few and far between. So I don't know. Not as important as financial stuff, but still with low latency requirements. Yeah. Oh, ads data is probably actually a really good one. That I put in the loosey-goosey, but with retrieval time sensitive. Like if you have, I was going to cut this from the video, but if you have retrieval time sensitive stuff, actually fraud protection and threat detection are also fine with loosey-goosey because there's levels of loosey-goosey. Like, do I lose rights, or is it okay to get a stale read? And with most of these, they're okay with a slightly stale read. If you're talking about seconds or seconds old, fraud prevention is probably not when you swipe your credit card. But most of these two are generally okay with I can be seconds behind in reads. And this is like basically real time. But again, like to me, the reason I put this in like a cut is like this was getting very, very specific, and like the people that are dealing with this understand their requirements. Like they're not watching this database video. I find like too many times my videos go into these edge cases, and it's like the people that deal with these are not watching my videos. I hope they're not. I hope they're not. So then I'm having a hard time with this loosey goosey. Your MongoDBs, your eventually consistent, your Cassandras, your whatnot, because I find that they're much more niche. Like they're very much, if you're not going to run in strong consistency and run with transactions, you have to be much more careful. So I don't know. I need to come up with something with this, because people, if I don't include this, they're going to be like, what do you do for like your NoSQL databases? And it's like, well, you can have transactions in a NoSQL. You can have ACID transactions in them. I gotta think of when you might want to use these, because I feel like there has to be valid ones that aren't like more niche. And denormalization. I feel like every single time I get to these, I'm denormalizing crap, and that's probably not a good path to be guiding people down. But then I know if I don't talk about denormalizing, there'll be that person in the comments like, what about denormalization of the data? And I'm like, dang it. Should have talked about it. Embedded databases was a really good call. If you think of one, drop it in chat somewhere. Like of a good workload that it can be one that's already covered, a transactional or whatnot. Like that's fine. We're talking about the workloads, and that's what I want to focus on. It's not about the databases. We'll give examples of the databases for each workload. But I want to, talk about the types of data that you're getting and understanding those access patterns and things like that. So anyways, if you think of some, let me know. I am working on that. You know what we need to do on Tick when we become a candidate? We need to vote. We need to elect ourselves supreme ruler. Tick needs more things. We need the config. And then we need clients. Man, it's so nice having this typed. It's so nice. All right, ChatGPT, come on. This is not wrong. So this is not wrong, but in theory, we need the majority vote. But one thing, we're voting yes for ourselves. That's a rule. So whenever we go into this, we're already voting for ourselves. But we never asked to vote. We never sent out a request to vote. Let's go copy this from... I actually deleted the code that was doing this because, you know, that's how I roll. Oh, good point. Thank you. It is actually late. Time check. Thank you so much, Dutch. I appreciate you. I appreciate you and your go-loving go-ness. Okay, so Saturday, we're going to work on... we're going to do a couple things. We have... for anybody that wants to jump in, Saturday, we're going to work on the Eddington architecture to basically get it this way, which this is going to be a disaster, terminating auth in Istio. We're going to pull it out of the Go applications. It's going to be a disaster, and it's going to be fantastic. I think this is fantastic, but it's also going to be a disaster. On top of that, we're going to do an interview of designing a CDN. So we'll do basically just design a CDN interview question, and we'll do that unless there's one that other people would like to do. There's actually a couple people that said that they would interview me, and we'll do different types of interviews, so we'll get some of those at some point. And we'll work on Eddington. There's another service that we're going to build for Eddington before the full cloud goes up, because there's a couple people that actually would find this useful. So one of the first services that we're going to start working on in the next little bit, probably not this Saturday, but one of these Saturdays, we're going to start with a global lock. There's actually some people interested in a global lock service, basically just an ability to lock arbitrary things. So we're gonna kind of build that. I think that will be fun. It's an interesting problem because you got to have linearizable reads and writes, which is cool. We can use some of our knowledge to put together. So anyways, Saturday we should have some fun and just play around with authentication. Authentication is the worst. Authentication is worst. We'll probably finish this. This is actually really close to being cleaned up, and I'm excited about that too. So anyways, thanks everybody for joining. I appreciate you guys hanging out, supporting the channel, and hopefully we can get some good videos out your way on databases and consensus and whatnot. So anyways, thanks everybody, and have a fantastic evening.